All right, it's recording. Great. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Right, first
Good
of all, I'd
morning.
like to thank every one of you for making your time to attend this session, this webinar, so to speak. Secondly, I'd like to thank FINA personally for allowing me to use a Zoom account. I have two co-hosts, Mr. Jeremy and Anita. If anything goes wrong, they will jump in and continue the session. I can relax and lay back. I'll come back 1 hour later. Anita is laughing anyway. So thank you, Anita and Jeremy, and also to all the facilitators and VLC 2.0 and VLC 3.0 for all the sharing that you guys has been contributing, via the WhatsApp messages and also the webinars that's taking place. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to share screen, and that's how we're going to get started. So I believe you'll be seeing a first screen. Let's put it to a test. If you guys seeing the one thing slide, could you type in a chat box? Say yes. That's interesting. All right, I could see the chat box now. I had some challenges looking at the chat box. I say yes, 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 yes. That's good. So let's get started. So what is this webinar all about? Earlier, Selva was asking me, it's better be worthy and whatnot, yeah? So I hope that Selva, at the end of the session, you will find in the time well spent. So it is abstract from a book called The One Thing, authored by Gary Keller. He made his money in real estate, and he wrote 2 books prior to writing this book together with Jay Papasan. Jay and he are going around US and Europe conducting seminars, workshops about this one thing concept. So for some of us or some of you, this concept could be something that you're familiar with. For some of you, possibly it could be, oh, I've been using it in my trainings. For some, it could be, that's interesting. So I do hope that I pitch for these 3 categories of my audience. So there is silence at the moment. Could you guys again in the chat room say you can hear me well, all good to go, ready or whatever? All right, good, really good. Oh, that's nice, Anita. Been very supportive. Okay, I'm seeing good, 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 good. I'm going to come off and on in my camera so that I do not want to distract you. When there is a need, I will come on camera. So what is this all about? What is the 3 things? The 3 things that I wanted to do or share with you regarding this webinar. The first thing is the concept itself. I'm going to explain what does it mean, the one thing. And secondly, about the myth that surrounds the notion of one thing. And the third point I would like to share with all of you is the path or steps that we need to take going beyond this. What is the action plan that we can do after this 1 hour webinar is over? So in a nutshell, these are the 3 things that I'm going to share with the group. So let me just bring all your attention to COVID-19. COVID-19 has impacted all our lives, the whole world. There were approximately 461,000 deaths throughout the world. And in Malaysia in particular, there are 121 deaths. So how is it related? What I'm going to do next is that I'm going to show some slides, and I want all of you to type in the chat box what comes to your mind. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Whatever it is comes to your mind, you can just type in. I'm going to show this first slide. Now use your chat room and type what comes to your minds. Big changes. Oh, that's good. That's good, Vanessa. Yeah. Saving lives, the frontliner. Mental health. That's interesting, Silva. Lifestyle change, building inner consciousness. Some of us want to connect with the higher self. Nature strikes back. It's true, Shanta. Nature has taken back what's rightfully hers. A new norm, Mr. Shankaran was saying, new opportunities. Never thought we could be online before training. You know, very, very true. Time to reflect. For some of us, it's time to reflect. Let me move on to the next slide. Type again what comes to your mind. No bread. Yeah, Jeremy. In Penang, you know, they are loading up with bread. And at one point, we couldn't find any bread. Scarcity, yeah. Paranoia, hoarding, selfish. Tough times, mate. And Leela says hoarding, fear of hunger. Selfish. Poverty. Enough for everyone's need and not greed. Very true, Bharat. Very philosophical of you. We have enough to go around everybody in the world, but not to our greed. Take care of yourself. Panic buying. And Venki says people are rushing for toilet rolls. That's interesting, Venki. And how about these slides then? If you care enough, love enough, there'll be enough. SOP, a new normal. Control. Vigilant. Constant checking. Yeah, tell me about it. Wherever we go, we got to take temperature, give our details. Safety, that's a good perspective. Question, question, question. I believe yoga, that's what you're saying. Better prevention than cure. 14 days quarantine. I reckon some of you have experienced it. Prabha, risk. Definitely, Dr. Prabha. Is the risk that people are taking on, on our daily lives. The world has dramatically changed. Thank you very much for your responses. So life has changed. Our perspective towards life possibly could have changed during the COVID-19. To some of us, our priorities may have changed. For some of us, maybe it's a reflective mode. You wanted to look at our life and see what is important. What do you want to do with life? But being trainers, VLC trainers, we would have gone through the journey, and it is a paradigm shift. For me, indeed, it was a paradigm shift, moving from face-to-face training to conduct virtual teaching or even virtual learning. So some of us need to adapt to change, and that's something that's not so easy for us to follow. But yet, what choice do you have? So how does this relate to the subject of one thing? And this is a Russian proverb. If you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. So share, what are your thoughts on this? I'm going to start video so that I can see. You can raise your hands. Just mention your name, unmute yourself, and you can speak. Jeremy says, focus, focus, focus. Sorry, who's that?
This Bharat.
Yes, Bharat.
Kali, my thought comes to my mind is we got to be choosy about the choices we make, and be happy with the choice you make.
Choices that we make in life and be happy with it. Thanks, Bharat.
But we got to be very choosy about the choices we make, because unfortunately today we got too many choices which our parents didn't have, but we got just too many choices.
Oh, spot on, Bharat, spot on. We have too many choices, unlike our parents. And, we cannot be doing everything else. Let me just relate as a virtual learner, what I've gone through. The last 3 weeks has been really a roller coaster ride. With all these virtual setup, exposed to various tools and websites, and yet I cannot be chasing each and every one of them. I may not have the time to master it all. So where does that put me? What can I possibly do? What are my choices that you have? As what Bharat says, can I pick and choose? So let me just share my story. Life, when I started young, I thought I wanted to know it all. I wanted to know about philosophy, I want to know about religion, I want to know about space exploration and so forth. The more I learned, I realized that there's more to learn. And what happens, life is too complex. The next point is, what I wanted to do is that I wanted to have it all, man. I want to have a big car, a sporty car, a big house, maybe travel around the world. I guess I can't have it all. That's what I learned. The reason being, life has too much to offer, as what Bharat says. It echoes with what Bharat says. And the third point that I want to press is all we could do. I wanted to do so many things. The more I do, the more I wanted to do. But I reckon time is limited. I could not do everything that I envisioned to do. So these are my limited choices. So what can I do? What other options do I have in order for me to stay focused, to pick and choose? Or is there any other options? For that, we're going to do an activity. Before that activity, I want to read out what Jeffrey has said. He said, really having connection issue. Oh, Jeffrey, sorry, Jeffrey, to hear that. Hopefully you'll come back after you reset your modem. Right. This script from a movie called City Slickers. Any volunteers? I could see, let me take a look at, oh yeah, I could see Jeremy is raising his hand to do this role play.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yes, no
awesome.
problem.
So Jeremy, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this role play.
Yes.
This is actually an audition for you to be a Bollywood star.
Looking forward to it.
Right. So you will play the role of Curly and I'll play the role of a Midge. So when I say 3, 2, 1, go, that's where you start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Do you know what the secret of life is?
No, what?
This.
Your finger.
One thing, just one thing. You stick to that and everything else don't mean
Hey, that's great, mate. But what's the one thing?
That's what you got to figure out.
Thank you, Jeremy, for helping me with the role play. So that's the one thing that I got to figure out. And that's the one thing that we are about to find out. So before we do that, let's do a game. Let's play a game. You could use your annotate tool, go to options, you click on it, you'll have an annotate tool. Click on the annotate and find the 15 hidden objects or pictures. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to do that. Let's see who can find as many as possible. All right. Wow. You guys are super fast, man. You guys don't need 2 minutes. Below 1 minute. All right, come on. There you are. Kenny says, yes, Kenny. Lollipop, yeah. All right, yeah, you got it. 1, 2, 3. We are there, we are there. A few more to go. Oh, some of you are really excellent. You guys are actually highlighting on the hidden objects which I'm sharing. All right, great guys, great. So let me pose a question. How did you manage to find the objects? Any takers? Or shall I just call out names then? Everybody is all of a sudden there's a pin drop silence. So whenever the facilitator asks a question, a pin drop silence. Know what to look for. Fina, thank you very much. Decide what you want, Dr. Prabha. Thank you very much. Anything else?
Focus,
I
Kali.
said
Focus. That's good, Anita. Somebody else said something?
search.
Search. And how do you go about searching? Do you search all objects at one time, or do you pick and choose?
You segmentize the place and look from area to area.
You segmentize and look from area to area, right? So I believe, to summarize that, to let you know, this is where, let me just clear, this is where the objects are roughly. So as a summary, some of you will focus on one object at a time. So you're looking for that object. Once you're done with that object, then you moved to another object. That's one way of doing it, yeah? So what this module or this webinar is all about is to identify the one thing, what really matters, and ignoring the rest. The author Gary Keller says, focusing purely on what we should be identifying and doing the things in our life that are most important and matters. So he was saying, just focus on one thing which is really important in our life and work on it. Then it may bring another question. Kali, does it mean that, I just focus on one thing? At this moment, one thing. Let me just illustrate what I'm saying. Success is built on sequentially, one thing at a time. If you have known some of the successful people like Bill Gates with Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook, Jeff Bezos with Amazon, or Jack Ma with Alibaba, when they started off, they are focusing on one thing. Either it could be a product, or either it could be one skills, or it could possibly be one passion. And that's what has taken them to greater heights in life. To illustrate this point, let's do this activity together. I request that all of you to close your eyes for a moment and just listen to my voice. Now imagine you have lined up hundreds of dominoes in front of you, and you're going to push the first domino. Once you push the first domino, what do you see? All right, you can use your chat room to respond. What do you all see? Once you push the first domino, butterfly effect, domino effect, or ripple effect, sequential fall of others, chain reaction, the rest started to fall. Thank you, Vanessa. Asohan says vicious cycle, chain reaction. all dominoes start to fall. Great, guys, great response. So practically that's what it is. We did not push all the dominoes. We only pushed the first domino. It looks easy in this exercise of domino falling, but our life, it's not so. Unfortunately, it's not quite so simple, whereby everything is lined up, simple and straightforward, with clear starting point and a clear destination. How do you move forward? What can we possibly do? Before addressing that question, some of us have perceptions about things, about issues and all that. So I'm going to show a few slides about the myth, and I want you guys to again use the chat room and respond. The first myth is everything matters equally. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Type yes if you agree and no if you don't. Let me see some of the responses. No, 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 disagree. So that makes my job easier. I don't have to spend so much time explaining. Yeah, so it's true, everything is not equal. It has grades, it has levels. So what helps? What would possibly help? Since everything is not equally important, we can apply the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule is a Pareto principle whereby 80% of productivity, for example, is produced by 20% of the employees and vice versa. So another slide that may come closer to as facilitators and webinar presenters, when we are working on our slides, initially we could have been having a to-do list with many slides as possible. Consciously or unconsciously, we could have been applying this 80-20 principle. From a 25, we stream down to 5. Eventually, from that 20%, another 20% applied to the one slide that we wanted to work on, the one issue that we want to work on, the one question that we wanted to address. We could have trimmed the slides and asked questions from time to time. So from the 25 initial to the 5 and eventually to the 1. So that's the first myth. The second myth is multitasking gets more done. So what's your take on that? Let me see some response. Do you agree that multitasking, yes and no? Wenki says yes and no. Gita says no. Yes, but messy, Kelvin, thank you. True, but quality may suffer. Spot on, Kenny. Fina says, agree to a certain degree. Yes and no, if done daily can be stressful, right? You are right, Vanessa. Sonia says yes and no. Adina says yes, but quality may be questionable. So since everything is not equal, that's what the first statement we did. So we need to do a bit of a picking and choosing. And here multitasking, we are not talking about reading a book while enjoying a movie or enjoying a snack, but switching from one task to another. So research shows that if we switch from one task to another, our brains need to reboot. The more the brain reboots and the processes are repeated over and over, it may be less effective. So multitasking, as some of you have said, is true. It may not be effective in the long run. It could be, we could get burned out as well. And the third slide, would you choose a disciplined life or power habit? Type in the chat room. Again, what would you choose? A disciplined life? Or is it going to be habit? Azohan says habits. Habits, power habits, a life of discipline. Kenny begs to differ. Power habits, habits. Most of you are saying habits. The author Gary Keller says, habit formed could be lasting than merely discipline. And this also echoes well with other authors and speakers, renowned speakers like Stephen Covey, Zig Ziglar. They've been talking about this, that a habit form would have a lasting impact. So with that put aside, to answer the question, so what can we do? Initially, we covered the first thing, what the one thing is all about, doing one thing, focusing one thing, choosing one thing that is important in our life. And also some of the myths that possibly could have been cleared. So the next step is moving forward the path. There could be various approaches. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to share the approach from the book, The One Thing. So what is the book saying? I'm just going to share and also use some of my experience in this sharing. So on a typical day, this is what may likely to happen. We wonder at times why our days are like this. How many of you would agree with this statement? Give me a thumbs up or even in a chat room. Some of you could be very effective in your time management. Venki says yes. Somebody says thumbs up coming. But what we want or anticipate, what we really wanted to see is this, to have a more productive day, where we focus on the one thing and everything else takes second stage. So we can start by doing a to-do list. And this is something common that all of us been doing. But we don't stop there. What I would rather suggest, or the author is suggesting, is this, right? The next step is applying the 80-20 rule. You work on the first shift and come down with the success list. And from there, you work on until you find that one thing that matters most to you. For this to happen, we need to have purpose and priority. Initially, the questions when I shared with you during COVID, some of us said it's a reflective mode. Some of us said that, yeah, it's maybe for me to realign my goals or reinvent my goals. So what is the purpose of life? That's a bigger question that we need to address. And secondly, prioritize, since everything is not equal. So we need to set priorities and whatever that we do. So I'm just going to use an example. There are various components or areas of life. I've chosen 5 to explain a point. So I've chosen physical health, spirituality, financial, career, relationship. So I request all of you to take a moment, grab a pen and a paper or a notebook, choose any one of these areas or even other areas that you wish. List down 3 to 4 things that you wanted to achieve or even work on after this webinar. So I shall give you guys, folks, 2 to 3 minutes. And Selva asks, what percentage shall we allocate? Selva, that depends. What are your priorities and purpose? So if you answer the first question is purpose, followed by priority, that more or less will give you a framework to work on. One more minute. Dina says, I want more than one. But for exercise purposes, Dina, just work on one. So if you need more help after the webinar, we can stay back and have a conversation. Prabha has already typed in his answer. Physical, be prepared to enjoy 21 km by 25th December. Wow. He's applying smart. Being an international trainer, an experienced trainer, he's applying smart. Selva says relationship, health, spiritual, finance, spiritual, relationship, finance, para. And Shanta says physical and mental health. Spiritual is internal, the rest is external. Asokan, that is a conversation that we need to have for another webinar, hosted by your true self, Asokan. All right, great. So if you guys are done, type in the chat room, good to go, yes. Farah says, I have to finish 1 km la. That's a good one. Must ask Ali to run a webinar preparing. Those were the days, Anita. But I can definitely show a framework how to get started. All right. Since Dr. Prabha talked about running and most of some of you are talking about exercise, I'm going to choose physical health as an example to walk you through. So assuming that I want my highest goal is to be healthy and fit, what are the 3 things that I can do? In the chat room, could you advise me, please? What are the 3 possible things that I can do that in order to be healthy?
Kali, I can choose to make time to go for a walk. Start with a walk every day.
Thanks, Anita. Go with the walk. Gita says food. I should be eating quality food. Meditate. Sonia, that's interesting. That's another topic for our webinar. Exercise, yoga, thanks.
Exercise, eat well, sleep well.
Sleep well, Lena, and also manifest, Leela. Don't forget about manifestation.
Manifest, yes, the abundance.
Abundance. Eat healthy, regular exercise, positive mindset. Safina, thank you. Exercise, right diet. Meditate again comes, resonates well. Thank you for your responses. I'll take all the responses. I'm going to share with 3 examples. Possibly, I could do some form of exercise. Or as some of you say, it could be a balanced diet. And thirdly, possible I could have a good night's sleep. So all 3 may help me. But as what I mentioned earlier, can I do everything at one go? Maybe some of us can, some of us can't. I just can't. I need to stay focused. So I'm going to focus on the one thing that I could immediately work on, and that would be exercise. So the various form of exercise, I could jog, as what Dr. Prabha is, I could run, but before running, somebody said I better walk or run a mile. I could start, and Anita said walking. So assuming that I say I wanted to start with walking, how many minutes, let's say per day, how many minutes shall I spend time exercising? You can type in the chat, shall I walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or will 30 minutes suffice? 30 minutes a day. Venki says 30 minutes a day. Thank you, Venki. Now that's 13, 15. Gita, you are very kind. 15, 20 minutes. Andrea Chow says 20 minutes. Thank you very much for response. So either I can start brisk walking for 30 minutes, and I can also plan on a weekly basis. So do I do it on a daily basis, or would I have, maybe I'm not able to do it daily. Maybe I could do it 3 times a week. So that immediately jumps into from my daily goal to a weekly goal. So let's say 3 times a week, I walk for 30 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, and on a Friday. And rest of the days I could rest. And Prabha says, walk from your house to Ayer Itam Dam once a week. Prabha, it will take me ages to return home. So how do you work on this? We can work from a bigger goal, that is someday goal, and work down, or it could possibly be free from bottom to up. What I demonstrated earlier, explained earlier, is on a daily goal to a weekly goal. It will go up to a monthly, year goal, and so forth. So what are some of the benefits that I can foresee by following or by cultivating this habit? What are some of the benefits? Please type. If I walk 3 times a week for a month and so forth, what are some of the benefits that I could gain? Good blood flow. Feel free, feel good factor. Sweat out. Oh, that's good, Andrea. Yeah, a good sweat will help. 10 minutes more. Do more 10 minutes of exercise from 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. So these are some of the benefits that are gained. And what did I do here? I did not do all the 3 things that I identified, which is eat well or eat right. Secondly, it is sleep right or sleep well. And third is exercising. I just focus on exercise. And this is exactly what Gary Keller is talking about. Focusing on one thing that could have a domino effect for the rest of the things in those areas. To answer the earlier question, for Dina and some of you say, I have too many things to do. I have a few things that I wanted to work on after this webinar. It is not only one thing, it's one thing at a time. Assuming in that exercise earlier, I could start off with brisk walking. When I'm comfortable and it becomes my habit or second nature, I could also look into the second goal, which is eating the right diet. And when that becomes my second nature, I could move to the third one, which is having a good night's sleep. So this is what it means by focusing on one thing and one thing at a time. Right, we're going to come to an end of my presentation. So we're going to do a summary and a word game. Again, you can click for more or more options. Click on the annotate, and on your right hand side, you can see the words that I've used throughout this webinar: dominoes, goals, myth, effort, habits, focus, multitasking, purpose, success, and priority. Use your annotate button. Somebody has found success. Wow, that's fast. Goals, myth. Yeah, there are some myths that we need to work on, or maybe have a paradigm. Dominoes, that's right. So what's the first domino that we need to work on? When we push the first domino, every other domino falls. Effort, very true. So focusing on the effort that would have 80% of the result, using 20% of our time and energy to produce more results. Purpose, spot on. We need purpose and priority. So these are the 2 indicators that helps us, guide us to list on what are the things that are important in our lives. Multitasking, can anybody found multitasking? Habits, that's good. Habits, as what the author says, that habit form has more lasting impact in our life. That's left with focus and multitasking. Multitasking is a long, yeah, bravo. Somebody found multitasking. And multitasking I will leave it to for all of you to decide. Is it multitasking or focusing one thing at a time? So what the author is suggesting is that you can have few things to do, few tasks to do in a day, but focus on one thing. Once it's completed, move on to the next task. And that's exactly what Stephen Covey would also share in his time matrix. We got it all. Focus. Wow, bravo. Give yourself a big round of applause. You guys are awesome. I'm not seeing some of you clapping. Camera shy, is it? You guys have done a fantastic job at solving this. And that's the summary of what I've shared. Let me just clear this so that we have a clean sheet. Thank you very much for participating in that activity. So there it goes, the answers. So it's here. So what are the 3 takeaways or commitments, so to speak? The first one is commit to master one skills, or it could be one passion or one product that could lead for greater success or greater productivity. Second thing is continuous learning. I mean, I personally thought my world would not cave in with COVID, but everything changed. My paradigm changed, and I need to unlearn and relearn new things. And the more I learn, I realize more I need to know. So learning is a process. And last not least, hold yourself accountable. You are responsible for your one thing and only you. I reckon it resonates with all of us. We can change the word you to we. So we got to hold ourselves responsible, because we are the pilot of our life. And work through this concept. Identify what are the things that really matters most in our life and address one thing at a time. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my last slide, and I'm going to conclude by saying, what's your one thing that's going to make a greater impact in our life? So with that, thank you very much for being a wonderful audience, supporting and listening. And Jeremy has given me 1 million stars. I'm going to record it before I stop recording, Jeremy. So I'll take questions. If you have any questions, please, we have another 5 more minutes before you step over to your next session.
Ali, which is your priority?
My priority at the moment is health.
Okay.
Health, Silva. So what I'm doing, I'm indulged myself with yoga twice a week, and I also do brisk walking.
Is that the reason why you've gone bald?
That is Mother Nature, gravity, my friend. Law of gravity, some or other works reversal for me.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Silva. Anita, we need to stop recording,
Yes.
or shall I let it go?
You can stop recording if you